Well, hello, friends. Welcome to the Scrappy Grandma's Torah Time. And I'm Lanita. And whether you're new here or you've been walking this path a while, I'm so glad you're here. Let's open the word together and see what Yah has for us in this week's portion. So this week's portion is Korach. Korach. And it is the 38th week, 38th Torah portion. And it starts in Numbers 16:1 through 18:32. And I have a commentary here that I like to, let's look at with my new Bible, the eSword app, that way you guys can read along with me. Let's see what the commentary says here. This is a very serious revolt because so many princes associated themselves with the Levite. Jealousy was at the root of the entire movement. All the congregation are holy. They said, therefore lift ye up yourselves. I remember this one. There is no root of bitterness that needs such careful watching as jealousy. It is in your heart, and you must, like Samuel of old and General Gordon. I don't know. Yeah, no. If I don't know, okay, go away. Oh, my goodness. No, unpin. Okay, I'm going to go with this. This is from A Year Through Torah, a week-by-week journey for Christians. What I like about this is it lays a foundation, gives us a backdrop of what's going on, kind of fills in the extra pieces. So it says here, we read in last week's Torah Parsha, Shelach, and that's Parsha is the portion, that on account of the sin of the spies, the entire generation of the Israelites rescued from Egypt was sentenced to die while in the desert. Harsh consequences. In this reading, the hard truth of their condition began to sink in, and the people bemoaned their fate and rebelled further by attempting to overthrow Yah's designed leadership and return to Egypt. This rebellion was instigated and organized by Moshe's cousin Korach, who, along with co-conspirators from the tribe of Reuben, was swiftly judged and put to death. Yeah, the rebellion of Korach. Korach rebellion. There we go, right up here. Thereby vindicating the Aaronic priesthood and Moshe's leadership in Israel. We have a new addition to our family who just, come here, you little monkey. Well, you just stay there and be quiet. There you go. Junebug. Junebug is a bit of a menace right now. Oh, she's got needle-sized claws and needle-sharp teeth, and no discretion as to when to use them or not. I am quite okay. You just settle in and get comfortable. Here we go. All right. So apologize here. So they thereby vindicating the Aaronic priesthood and Moses' leadership in Israel. So now Korah and the sons of Izhar, son of Korath, son of Levi, and Dathan, and Abram, the sons of Eliab, and one of the sons of Peleth, son of Reuben, took men, and they rose up before Moses with a number of the people of Israel, 250 chiefs of the congregation, chosen from the assembly, well-known men. Numbers 16:1 and 2. The four rebellions. Four separate rebellions are mentioned in this parsha: the Levites against Aaron, Dathan and Abraham against Moses, the tribal chiefs against Aaron, and finally the entire community against Moses. The chief conspirator, however, was the Levite Korah, who appeared to be involved in all four of the rebellion movements. So if we remember, and it's crazy because Korah, that tribe, the sons of Levi, you had Gershom, Korah, and Merari. And Korah was the tribe that was specially chosen to transport the holy articles from the tabernacle. I mean, I'm gonna throw her down here in a second. This should be interesting. Hopefully she'll settle in. Korah's co-conspirator. Korah, so yeah, it's really surprising. So Korah was the cousin of Moses who rationalized that he should be head of the Levite clan. Since Moses was given leadership of the people and Aaron was given leadership of the priesthood, here is a condensed genealogy of Levi from Exodus 6 that indicates the relationship between Moses, Aaron, and Korah. So there's Levi, and there's Gershom, then there's Korah, and then there's Merari. And from Korah is Amram and Ishhar. And from Amram came Aaron, Miriam, and Moses. And from Ishhar came Korah, Nepeg, and Zichri. Korah's co-conspirators were two brothers named Dathan and Abiram from the tribe of Reuben, Israel's firstborn son. Since traditionally the firstborn son was ordained. Sorry. Since traditionally the firstborn sons ordained leadership of the people, these tribes, okay, she got to go. Get down. She'll just jump back up. These tribal leaders would have resented Moses' leadership in Israel. The parsha begins with Korah and 250 leaders of Israel confronting Moses and Aaron. You have gone too far. Why do you raise yourself above the congregation of Yah? Moses then fell on his face and challenged Korah and his company to offer the Moses fell on his face and challenged Korah and his company to offer the sacred incense at the Holy of Holies in the Mishkan the following morning. That ritual was the most sacred of the services of the sanctuary, permitted only to the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, and only under special circumstances. If their offering was accepted, that would prove their worthiness of the Aaronic priesthood. To establish his credibility as the leader of the people instead of the heads of the tribes of Reuben, Moses then called for Dathan and Abiram, but they refused to meet with him. Moreover, they sent a message that accused Moses of deceiving the people. The idiom, should you gouge out their eyes, means pull the wool over their eyes. The following morning, Korah and the 250 leaders of Israel appeared before the Mishkan with their censers, ready to offer the incense. The whole assembly of Israel stood nearby and watched the power encounter unfold. But the Shekinah glory of Yah suddenly appeared, and Yah spoke to Aaron and Moses, saying that he would now destroy the people in an instant. But they fell upon their faces and said, "O Yah, the Elohim of the spirits of all flesh, shall one man sin, and you will be angry with all the congregation?" And Yah told them to instruct all the people to get away from the abodes, the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Moses then went before the tents of his rivals and affirmed that Yah had chosen him to lead Israel. He then pronounced Yah's judgment, and the earth swallowed them up alive. Next, fire from Yah went forth and consumed the 250 who offered incense. Yah then instructed Eleazar, the son of Aaron, to collect the fire pans that the 250 men used to offer the incense and to hammer them into plates as a covering of the brazen altar. This was to serve as a warning that no one other than a member of Aaron's family should presume to come and offer incense at the altar, lest they should suffer the fate of Korah. The following day, however, the entire community of Israel rose up in rebellion against Moses and Aaron, accusing them of bringing death upon Yah's people. Yah's wrath was again roused, and a plague broke out among the people. Moses then instructed Aaron to take a fire pan with incense and bring it into the midst of the congregation to make atonement for them. Though this was not part of the ritual use for incense, Aaron did so and stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stayed. As the final test to vindicate Aaron as Yah's chosen priest, even the 12 tribal heads of Israel, as well as Aaron himself, were instructed to bring their staffs to Moses. Moses then inscribed their names on each staff and brought them into the sanctuary before the ark of testimony. And the staff of the man whom I choose shall sprout. Thus I shall make to cease from me the grumblings of the people of Israel, which they grumble against you. Man, the Father's just really been speaking to me about grumbling and how detestable it is to him, because what are we doing when we grumble? We're basically saying we are smarter than the Most High, that we don't like. If we've surrendered our lives to him and then allow him free reign, and then we grumble, then basically we're saying, one, we don't have faith, one, we don't like what he's doing, we don't trust him. It's just, so grumbling just is really detestable to the Most High. So, okay. And the following day, Moses went into the Mishkan, the tabernacle, and behold, the staff of Aaron for the house of Levi had sprouted and put forth buds and produced blossoms, and it bore ripe almonds. Then Yah told Moses to return Aaron's staff to the Mishkan as a memorial and testimony for generations to come. King Josiah is said to have hidden the staff before the destruction of the first temple. Interesting. After all this transpired, the people began to dread the presence of Yah and the Mishkan. To allay their fears, Moses gave them reassurance that the sons of Aaron, i.e., the priests and the Levites alone, would bear responsibility for any encroachment of the sanctuary. All strangers, i.e., laymen, were warned to keep their distance. Moreover, since the Levites and Kohanim, the priests, would receive no portion of the promised land, the people were instructed to support them by means of gifts, which are listed at the end of the Parsha. Thus, this portion of Torah establishes the authority of Moses, not Reuben, as the leader of Israel, and the authority of Aaron, not the other sons of Korach, as Yah's chosen priestly line. Note, even today, with modern Judaism, there are three classes of Jews recognized. The Kohanim, a direct descendant of Aaron. Today, a Kohen is the first one called to perform Aliyah at the tent of reading. I think that means come up and read in the synagogue, where they go and they read the Torah portion every week in the synagogue. So like this coming Sabbath, synagogues everywhere and messianic assemblies everywhere will be reading this Torah portion, which I just think is so beautiful. How beautiful that we can all be in unity, reading the same portion and learning the same lessons and lifting him up and giving him glory all at the same time. That's why I love the Torah portion so much. So anyway, two were the Levites, the descendants of Levi, i.e. Gershom, Merarite, and Korathite, Gershom, Merari, and Korah. Other than Aaron's line, today, a Levite is the second one called to perform Aliyah at the synagogue, to come up and read, because they'll all come up and read a part of it. And then there's the Israelites, a descendant of one of the 12 tribes of Israel, descendant from Asher, Benjamin, Dan, Ephraim, Gad, Issachar, Joseph, Judah, Manasseh, Naphtali, Reuben, Simeon, and Zebulun. Gifts to the priesthood. I'll go ahead. Gifts to the priesthood. Because of the Kohanim and Levites were given no specific portion in the land of Israel, they were to be supported by contributions from the people. The Torah lists 24 of these gifts to the priests, including the regular terumah, portions of crops, bikurim, offerings, first fruits, parts of various sacrificial offerings, and revenue from pidyon banim, redemption of the firstborn son. Yah calls this agreement the Brit melach, a covenant of salt. Salt is a symbol of eternity because it is a preservative, because of its preservative priorities opposed to shematz, which is leavening. Salt does not ferment and preserves food against rot. So like my fermenting that I do, like my vegetables, I ferment them with salt, and it doesn't do leavening. So that's why we don't have to throw out all of our fermented vegetables and stuff, because I ferment with salt and with sugar. Very cool. So Mayasar tithes to the Levites, just as Yah made an agreement with the Kohanim, the high priest, or the priest. So he made one with the Levites, who would receive the first tenth of each farmer's produce. This regular tithe amounted to supporting the servants of priests of Israel. You are messing up the mic. People can't hear with you there. Oh my goodness, what am I going to do with you, little creature? The fate of the wilderness generation. This is so heartbreaking. I apologize if it's okay. The fate of the wilderness generation. According to the Midrash, Rabbah, every year until the 14th year, on the eve of the 9th of Av, Moses would command the people, go out and dig. And the people would, I remember this, would leave the camp and dig graves and sleep in them overnight. And the following morning, a messenger would proclaim, let the living separate from the dead. 15,000 would die that very night, but the survivors would return to the camp for another year. Because remember, because of the spies' report, they came back, the 10 that said, no, the giants are too big. They brought an evil report. They didn't trust the Father. They grumbled. They spoke negatively, Lashon Hara. They didn't trust that Yah promised he was giving them the land. How many promises do we have that then all of a sudden we get consumed by fear, and all of a sudden that trust goes out the window? And look at the consequences. He made it to where none of that generation that left Egypt, except for Caleb and Joshua, not even Moses and Aaron and Miriam and all of them, none of them got to go into the promised land. And so this is interesting where Midrash is where people get together and they discuss the portion. Not sure where this truly came from, but they would go out and they would dig graves and lay in them overnight, and some would die and some would go back, and they would do this every year. And for 14 years, it's 40th, I'm sorry, until the 40th year. So they would do this every year on the eve of the 9th of Av. They'd go, some would die, some would return, until they were all gone, except for Joshua and Caleb. This occurred year after year, but on the 40th year, no one died. Since they thought they might have miscalculated the days, they slept in their graves an additional night. This went on for 5 nights until the 15th of Av, when they saw the full moon, realized that their calculations were correct, and rejoiced that no more of the first generation would die. They subsequently declared Tu B'Av, the 15th of Av, as a day of celebration. The desert generation had finally died off, and the new generation was finally ready to enter the land. So let's go ahead and get started here. I have up here, and it's, I'm just going to keep track. I'm doing it differently. It's a little, I've got to be a little more organized. And I want to open the word too, because sometimes, I fixed it to where the font doesn't have weird characters in it. Okay. And Korah, the son of Yishar, son of Kahath, son of Levi, took Dathan, and Abram, the sons of Eliab, and On, son of Pelath, son of Reuben. And they rose up before Moshe with some of the children of Israel, 250 leaders of the congregation, called ones of the meeting, men of name. So, these are the chiefs. And they assembled against Moshe and against Aaron and said to them, enough of you, for all of the congregation is set apart, all of them, and Yah is in their midst. Why then do you lift yourselves up above the assembly? And Moshe heard and fell on his face and spoke to Korah and all the company, saying, tomorrow morning Yah shall make known who is his and who is set apart, and bring him near to him, and let him bring near to him the one whom he chooses. Do this, take fire holders, Korah and all your company, and put fire in them and put incense in them before Yah tomorrow. And it shall be that the one whom Yah chooses is set apart, the set apart one. Enough of you, sons of Levi. So interesting thought came into my mind that all of them had censers. They all had the incense holders. So, and I need to learn more about the incense holders, because every one of them had them, obviously, because coming up. And Moshe said to Korah, hear now, you sons of Levi, it is little to you that Elohim of Israel has separated you from the congregation of Israel to bring you near to himself, to perform the service of the dwelling place of Yah, and to stand before the congregation to serve them. I mean, they're priests, right? Korah, sons of Levi. And like I said, they're the ones that get to transport the holy articles, the set apart articles, the most holy. And that he brought you near to himself, and you and all your brothers, the sons of Levi, with you, yet you seek the priesthood as well. I'm sorry, then they weren't priests. They were able to, they were sons of Levi, which were, set apart for the service of the temple. Therefore, you and all the company are set against Yah. And Aaron, what is he that you grumble against him? And Moshe called to Dathan and Abram, sons of Eliab, and they said, we're not coming up. So they're in full-on rebellion here. Is it little that you have brought us up out of a land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the wilderness, that you should also seize total rule over us? Also, you have not brought us into a land flowing with milk and honey, nor giving us inheritance of fields and vineyards. Would you bore out the eyes of these men? We are not coming up. So meaning, would you pull the wool over us, deceive us? And Moshe became very displeased and said to Yah, do not respect their offering. I have not taken one donkey from them, nor have I done harm to any of them. And Moshe said to Korah, tomorrow you and all your company shall be there before Yah, and they and Aaron. And take each one a fire holder, and you shall put incense in it. Okay, so they have a fire holder. So that makes sense, because that's how they carry their fire with them, is in their fire holder. They probably, put a burning coal in there and take it with them when they move, so that they don't have to start fire. And especially like if they have, on Shabbat, where they're commanded not to start fire. So I don't know if that's true, but that makes sense to me. And take each one of his fire holder, and you shall put incense in it, and let each one bring his fire holder before Yah, 250 fire holders, and you and Aaron, each one with his fire holder. So each one took his fire holder and put fire in it and laid incense on it and stood at the door of the tent of appointment. And Moshe and Aaron and Korah assembled all the congregation of them against them at the door of tent of appointment. Then the esteem of Yah appeared to all the congregation. And Yah spoke to Moshe and Aaron, saying, separate yourselves from the midst of this congregation and let me consume them in a moment. But they fell on their faces and said, O Elohim of the spirits of all flesh, when one man sins, are you wroth with all the congregation? And Yah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the congregation, saying, move away from around the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. So Moshe rose up and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Israel following him. And he spoke to the congregation, saying, please turn away from the tents of these wrong men. Do not touch whatever belongs to them, lest you be consumed in all of their sins. Then they moved away from around the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. And Dathan and Abiram came out and stood at the door of the tents while they're with their wives and their sons and their little children. And Moshe said, by this you know that Yah has sent me to do all these works, that they are not from my own heart. Meaning, this is all Yah. This is not what I want. This is what Yah is doing. If these die as men do, or if they are visited as men are visited, then Yah has not sent me. But if Yah creates what is unheard of, and the earth opens its mouth and swallows them up with all that belongs to them, then they go down into Sheol. Then you shall know that these men have scorned Yah. See explanatory notes on Sheol. I don't know where that is, so we're just going to keep moving. And it came to be, as he was speaking all these words, that the ground under them split apart. And the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up with their households and all the men of Korah with all of their goods. So they and all those with them went down alive into Sheol, and the earth closed over them, and they perished from the midst of the assembly. And all of Israel who was round about them fled at their cry, and they said, lest the earth swallow us up. And a fire came out from Yah and consumed the 250 men who were offering incense. And Yah spoke to Moshe, saying, say to Eleazar, the son of Aaron, priest, to pick up the fire holders out of the blaze, for they are set apart, and scatter the fire some distance away. The fire holders of these men who sinned against their own lives, let them be made into beaten plates as a covering for the slaughter place, because they brought them before Yah. Therefore, they are set apart, and let them become a sign to the children of Israel. And Eleazar the priest took the bronze fire holders, which those who burned up had brought, and they beat out as a covering onto the slaughter place. A remembrance to the children of Israel that no stranger who is not the seed of Abraham should come near to the offer incense before Yah, and not be like Korah and his company, as Yah has said to him through Moshe. But all of the congregation of the children of Israel grumbled against Moshe and against Aaron on the next day, saying, you have killed the people of Yah. And it came to be, when the congregation assembled against Moshe and Aaron, that they turned towards the tent of appointment, and see, the cloud covered it, and the esteem of Yah appeared. And Moshe and Aaron came before the tent of appointment, and Yah spoke to Moshe, saying, arise from amidst the congregation, and let me consume them in a moment. And they fell on their faces. So Moshe said to Aaron, take the fire holders and put fire in them from the slaughter place, and lay incense on it. Go, hurry, to the congregation, and make atonement for them. For the wrath has gone out from Yah, the plague has begun. And Aaron took it as Moshe commanded, and ran into the midst of the assembly, and saw the plague had begun among the people. And he laid out on the incense and made atonement for the people, and stood between the dead and the living, and the plague was stopped. And those who died in the plague were 14,700, besides those who died on account of Korah. Then Aaron returned to Moshe at the tent of appointment, for the plague had stopped. Go to 17. And and Yah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Israel, and take from them a rod from each father's house, all the leaders according to their father's house, 12 rods. Write each one's name on his rod, and write Aaron's name on the rod of Levi, for there is one rod for the head of each father's house. You shall then place them in the tent of appointment before the witness where I meet with you. And it shall be that the rod of the man who I choose buds, and I shall rid myself of the grumblings of the children of Israel, which they grumbled against you. And Moshe spoke to the children of Israel and all the leaders, and gave them each a rod for each leader according to their father's house, 12 rods, and the rod of Aaron was among their rods. So Moshe placed the rods before Yah in the tent of witness. And it came to be on the next day that Moshe went into the tent of witness, and saw the rod of Aaron and the house of Levi had budded, and brought forth buds and blossoms, and bore ripe almonds. And Moshe brought out the rods from before Yah to all the children of Israel, and they looked, and each man took his rod. And Yah said to Moshe, bring Aaron's rod back before the witness, to be kept as a sign against the rebels, so that you put an end to their grumbling against me, lest they die. And Moshe did as Yah had commanded him, so he did. And the children of Israel spoke to Moshe, saying, see, we shall die, we shall perish, we shall all perish. anyone who comes near the dwelling place of Yah dies. Shall we be consumed to die? 18. I just want to make sure. Go to 1832. Okay. And 32 is the last one. Awesome. So, and Yah said to Aharon, you and your sons and your father's house with you are to bear the crookedness against the set apart place, and you and your sons with you are to bear the crookedness against your priesthood. But bring with you your brothers of the tribe of Levi too, the tribe of your father, to join you and serve you while your sons are with you before the tent of witness. And they shall guard your charge and the duty of all the tent, but they do not come near the furnishings of the set apart place and the slaughter place, lest they die, both they and you. And they shall be joined with you and guard the duty of the tent of appointment for all of the service of the tent, but a stranger does not come near you. And you shall guard the duty of the set apart place and the duty of the slaughter place, so that there be no more wrath of the children of Israel. And see, I myself have taken your brothers Levi from the midst of the children of Israel, a gift to you given by Yah to do the service of the tent of appointment. But you and your sons with you are to guard your priesthood for all manners at the slaughter place and behind the veil, and you shall serve. And I have given the priesthood as a gift for service, but the stranger who comes near is put to death. And Yah spoke to Aharon, and see, I myself have also given you charge of my contributions, all the set apart gifts of the children of Israel. I have given them to you for anointing, for the anointing, and to your sons as a law forever. This is yours of the most set apart gifts from the fire, all their offerings, all their grain offerings, all their sin offerings, and all the guilt offerings, which they render to me, are most set apart to you and your sons. So this is their food, because they don't have property. And so this is how they survive. Eat it in the most set apart place. Every male eats it. It is set apart to you. And so I asked this last year in our Bible study group, and it's like, is there a bunch of tables set up? And they probably didn't, I don't know, in the courtyard and stuff. Is there a place for them to sit and eat? This is also yours, the contribution of their gift, with all the wave offerings of the children of Israel. I have given them to you and your sons and daughters with you as a law forever. Anyone who is clean in your house eats it. All of the best of the oil, all of the best new wine and the grain, their first fruits, what they give to Yah, I have given them to you. I mean, what a blessing. And what also, I mean, they really have to live by faith, that they have to trust the Father that the rest of Israel is going to do what they're supposed to do so that they can survive, which is super interesting. The first fruits of all that is in their land, which they bring to Yah, are yours. Everyone who is clean in your house eats it. All that is dedicated in Israel is yours. Everyone opening the womb of all flesh, which is the firstborn, which they bring to Yah, whether man or beast, is yours. But to ransom, you shall ransom the firstborn of man, the firstborn of the unclean beast you ransom. So like donkeys and camels. No, camels, I think camels clean. Camels are not clean. I don't remember about camels, because I think camels have cloven hooves, and I think they chew their cud. But no, they say they're unclean because John wore camel skin. You can touch it, but you can't eat. I don't know. But so every unclean animal, that the firstborn of every human and unclean animal, they have to be ransomed, meaning they have to bring money to ransom. So I'm sorry here. And ransom their ransom ones when one new moon old, so 1 month old, according to your valuation. Yes, here, 5 shekels of silver, according to the shekel of the set apart place, which is 20 gerahs. So, when they become a month old, then they, the parents or the people who own the unclean animal, they bring the shekels of silver instead to ransom them. But the firstborn of a cow, the firstborn of a sheep, the firstborn of a goat, you do not ransom. They are set apart. Sprinkle their blood on the slaughter place and burn their fat as an offering made by fire for a sweet fragrance to Yah. And their flesh is yours as the wave breast and as the right thigh is yours. All of the contributions of the set apart gifts which the children of Israel present to Yah, I have given to you and your sons and daughters with you as a law forever. It is a covenant of salt forever before Yah with you and your seed with you. And Yah said to Aharon, you are not to have an inheritance in the land, nor have any portion in the midst. I am your portion and your inheritance among the children of Israel. And see, I have given the children of Levi all the tithes in Israel as an inheritance in return for the service which they are serving, the service of the tent of appointment. And let the children of Israel no more come near the tent of appointment, lest they bear the sins and die. Because the Levites shall do the service of the tent of appointment, so they themselves bear their crookedness, a law forever throughout your generations, that among the children of Israel they are to have no inheritance. But the tithes of the children of Israel, which they present as contributions to Yah, I have given to the Levites as an inheritance. That is why I have said to them, among the children of Israel, they have no inheritance. And Yah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the Levites and say to them, when you take from the children of Israel the tithes, which I have given to you from them as your inheritance, then you shall present a contribution of it to the Yah, a tenth of the tithe. So they receive, then they also tithe of their tithe. They tithe a tithe of the tithe. Tithe means tenth. And your contribution shall be reckoned to you as grain from the threshing floor, as filling from the winepress. Thus you also present contribution unto Yah for all your tithes which you receive from the children of Israel, and you shall give from it contribution to Yah, to Aaron the priest. From all your gifts you present every contribution due to Yah, from all the best of them, the set apart of them. And you shall say to them, when you have presented the best of it, then the rest shall be reckoned to the Levites as the yield of the threshing floor and as the yield of the winepress. And you shall eat and you shall eat it in any place you and your households, for it is your reward for your service at the tent of appointment. And bear no sin because of it when you have presented the best of it, and do not profane the set apart gifts of the children of Israel, lest you die. That is the Torah portion. Now let's go to the Haftarah. And the Haftarah is when Israel was being occupied by Greece, I'm pretty sure, they made it illegal to read the Torah. And so the Israelites, or could have been just the Jews at that point. My history, I'm still learning the history of when the 10 tribes were dispersed, taken into captivity and then dispersed among all the nations. And when, I think it was just the tribe of Judah and some Benjamin, some Levites, that they were ruled by Greece. They were occupied, and it was not legal for them to read the Torah. So they weren't able to teach their children and teach in the synagogues and teach anyone who wanted to learn Torah, learn the instructions. So what they did is they took portions out of the books of wisdom and the books of the prophets that would remind them of the teaching from the Torah portion. And they would teach that as the Torah portion to be able to teach the instructions to their children and their children's children and, to themselves. I have found that doing this, I think now this is like my third year, doing this year after year. One, I learn so much each year more. Two, it really puts it, this is how you feast on the word, you consume it, you learn. And then it's a reminder year after year to practice the things that you're learning. And so it's just, I love it. And so that's what they did with the Haftarah. So the Haftarah is 1 Samuel 11. So we're at 1 Samuel and 11. 14 through 12:22. And Shamuel said to the people, "Come and let us go to Gilgal and renew the reign there." And all the people went to Gilgal, and there they set up Shaul to reign, King Saul, in Gilgal. And they slaughtered slaughterings of peace offerings before Yah, and there Shaul rejoiced, and all the men of Israel very greatly. 22. Okay. So, and Shamuel said to Israel, "Look, I have listened to your voice in all that you have said to me and have set a sovereign over you." This is when they demanded to have a king. Instead of letting the father be their ruler, their king, their sovereign, they wanted to be like the other nations. Instead of being set apart and doing things the way Yah had designed, they wanted their own king. So, and now look, the sovereign is walking before you, and I am old and gray. And look, my sons are with you, and I have walked before you from my youth to this day. Rusty and I are reading. Are we reading Samuel? Where are we at now? Yeah, we're in First Samuel, and it's fascinating. I love this book. Look, here I am, witness against me before Yah and before his anointed. Whose ox have I taken, or whose donkey have I taken, or whom have I oppressed? Whom have I abused, or whose hand have I received any bribe with which to blind my eyes? Then I restore it to you. Interesting, because that's what Moses said, when they were accusing him. And he's like, what donkey? I have not even taken a donkey from them. And they said, you have not oppressed us or abused us, nor have you taken any bribe from anyone's hand. So he said to them, Yah is my witness against you, and his anointed is witness today, that you have found naught in my hand. And they answered him, he is witness. And Shamuel said to the people, it is Yah who appointed Moshe and Aaron, and who brought your fathers up from the land of Mitzrayim. And now stand still, so that I judge you before Yah concerning all the righteous acts of Yah, which he did to you and your fathers. When Jacob had come to Mitzrayim, and your fathers cried out to Yah, and then Yah sent Moshe and Aaron, who brought your fathers out of Mitzrayim and made them dwell in this place. But they forgot Yah their Elohim, and so he sold them into the hand of Sisera, commander of the army of Hatzor, and into the hand of the Philistines, and into the land of the sovereign of Moab, and they fought against them. And they cried out to Yah, and he said, we have sinned because we have forsaken Yah and served the Baals, the other. And you know what? Baal in Hebrew is Lord. That's why I don't like using the word Lord, because it's the actual name of pagan gods, Baal. And the Asheroth, and now deliver us from the hands of our enemies, and we serve you. And Yah sent Yerubbabel and Bediam and Yephthath and Shamuel, and he delivered you out of the hand of your enemies round about, and you dwelt in safety. And when you saw Nahash, sovereign of the children of Ammon, come against you, you said to me, no, but let a sovereign reign over us, when Yah, your Elohim, was your sovereign. And now here is your sovereign, whom you have chosen and whom you have asked, and see, Yah has set a sovereign over you. And if you fear Yah and shall serve him and obey his voice and not rebel against the command of Yah, then both you and the sovereign who reigns over you shall follow Yah, your Elohim. But if you do not obey the voice of Yah and shall rebel against the mouth of Yah, then the hand of Yah shall be against you, as it was against your fathers. And now stand and see this great matter which Yah does before your eyes. Is today not the wheat harvest? Let me call Yah, so that he sends thunder and rain. Now then, and see that your evil is great, which you have done in the eyes of Yah, in asking for yourselves a sovereign. And Shamuel called to Yah, and Yah sent thunder and rain that day, and all the people greatly feared Yah and Shamuel. Because if it's the wheat harvest and all of a sudden thunder and rain comes, that's going to devastate the crop. And all the people said to Shamuel, pray for your servants to Yah, your Elohim, that we do not die, for we have added to all our sins this evil for asking for ourselves a sovereign. And Samuel said to the people, do not fear, you have done all this evil, only do not turn aside from following Yah, and you shall serve Yah with all of your heart. And do not turn aside after worthless matters which do not profit or deliver, for they are worthless. For Yah would not cast away his people for his great name's sake, seeing it has pleased Yah to make you his people. And then the Brit Hadashah is the Gospels, and it is Matthew 26. Matthew 26, and it's 13 through 24. Truly I say to you, whether this good news is proclaimed in all the world, what this woman has done shall be spoken of also to her remembrance. That's a weird place to start. Then one of the 12, called Yehuda from Korach, went to the chief priests. So Judas actually is Yehuda. And said, what would you give me to deliver him to you? And they counted out to him 30 pieces of silver. It's interesting because we're right now watching The Chosen. I like The Chosen because it helps to give a visual of ancient Hebrew life. I have a challenge with The Chosen because it takes a lot of artistic liberties, and I know that the people who are behind it, or a lot of the people behind it, are from different religions that have inserted some of their doctrines and dogmas into The Chosen. So I watch it carefully and don't believe everything that it's portraying. But right now they're actually at the part where the Last Supper, which is the Passover meal, and it's showing Judas becoming increasingly concerned, and it's actually giving it's giving an interesting twist of a background of why Judas betrayed, because he was expecting a conquering king, like most. Well, that's why that's why the Jews did not accept Yeshua, is because he came as a suffering servant and not the conquering king that they were expecting. And so he was, his whole thing is, hey, take a, deliver us from the from being occupied by Rome. And anyway, so I apologize, I jumped. Okay. And said, what would you give me to deliver him? And they counted out to him 30 pieces of silver. And that in Zechariah 11:12, and I said to them, it is not good in your eyes. Give me my wages, and if not, refrain. So they weighed out for my wages 30 pieces of silver. I like that has that in there. That's cool. Because I know it has it actually in my hard copy. So that's cool that does this, because you'll, if reading the ISR version, Scriptures 2009, and in the gospel section, it's really fascinating to see how much of that was actually just the original, and the Torah and the prophets and the books of wisdom, how it is. So, okay. Going through 24. And from then on, he was seeking an occasion to deliver him up. And on the first day of unleavened bread, the taught ones came to Yeshua saying, where do you wish of us to prepare for you to eat the Pesach, Passover? And he said, go into the city to a certain man and say to him, the teacher says, the time is near. I am to perform the Pesach at your house with his taught ones. And the taught ones did as Yeshua had ordered them and prepared the Pesach. And when evening came, they sat down with the 12. And while they were eating, he said, "Truly I say to you, one of you shall deliver me up." And they were deeply grieved and began to say to each one of them, "Master, is it I?" And he answering said, "He who has dipped his hand with me in the dish shall deliver me up. Indeed, the son of Adam goes as it has been written concerning him, but woe to the man by whom the son of Adam is delivered up. It would have been good for that man had never been born." Sad. So, all right. You know what? I realized I didn't pray when I began, and that's because I'm learning this whole new way of doing it. So I'll pray us out. Father, Yah, King of the universe, mighty, mighty, mighty Elohim. You are so good to us, and you are a promise keeper. And I just thank you so much for your living bread, for your living word that we can consume and feast on it and learn of you and grow in covenant with you, and that you use it to convict us and to direct us and guide and lead us and teach us. You are so good to us. Help us with this, whoever this goes out to. Father, bless them. Help them to have a hunger and a thirst and a passion for your word so that they can feast on it each and every day, and teach us each day how to walk in deeper covenant with you. In Yeshua's mighty name. Amen. All right. Well, thank you so much. I next week I'm going to actually be recording 2 portions because my Rusty and I are going to be going down to LA. We're going to be gone a week, and so I want to have it pre-recorded so that I don't because I don't know what I'm going to be doing down there. We're helping my father move, and so I don't know what my days are going to be like. So I'm going to try to have, Yah willing, have everything prepared before we leave. So be blessed, and I will see you on the next Torah portion next Monday. And if you're interested, I also have a Bible reading portion that Bible reading where I'm in Genesis, where I'm reading all the books of the Bible, and that I'm going to be doing on Friday. And so that one will be coming out too. And then also my the story seat, Women Worth Hearing, and it is where I interview women. So if you know of anyone who has a fabulous story that honors and glorifies the Most High, share them with me, and we can do an interview with them so they can share their testimony and encourage and uplift, and iron sharpens iron. We can all grow together. All right, be blessed, and we'll see you when we see you, God willing. And figure this out here. Stop recording.